Summer arrives, bringing with it a myriad of memories and nostalgia. Our protagonist reflects on the fleeting and precious nature of summers gone by, especially one vivid summer in 1994. During this particular summer, the weather was scorching, and everything felt more vibrant, more alive, marking the beginning of a transformative period in life. As the story unfolds, the protagonist recalls a day in March, taking place at a middle school graduation. This significant event serves as a milestone, where everything seemed to change. In the restroom, they examine a bruise on their leg while staring into a mirror, noticing a prominent birthmark on their face. This birthmark, a dark blue blemish, often subjected the protagonist to whispering and judgment from others. Carrying the diploma with them, they step out to an alarming scene as students are embroiled in a fight. Such occurrences weren't rare, and our protagonist was no stranger to them. Caught up in the violence, they find themselves in the thick of it. Yet, these fights seemed futile and unresolved, much like their future loomed ahead, uncertain and daunting. Soon, the protagonist would be attending Minajiza First High, a prestigious college prep school. It was an exciting chance to start anew, away from the prying eyes of those who knew them in middle school. They hoped to leave behind their quick-tempered personality, which often led to trouble. They were determined to change, to adapt, and to grow, hoping to find some solace despite the birthmark that marked them as different. The memories shift back to a train ride home. Upon disembarking, the protagonist is stirred by the sights and sounds of their familiar rural town. As they walk past a tobacco shop, memories flood back, particularly about public telephones, one of which starts ringing. Driven by an inexplicable urge, they answer it, and a woman's voice challenges them intriguingly, "You still carry a love you can't give up on. Am I wrong?" The voice stirs a deep memory of Yui Hajikano, a girl from elementary school. For years, Hajikano was a close friend, sharing an unspoken bond. The protagonist recalls her presence, both mysterious and comforting. Although they had drifted apart when they entered different schools, Hajikano remained pivotal in their thoughts, especially during moments of trouble or doubt. Revisiting memories of their time together, the protagonist remembers how, while confronting the world's judgments, Hajikano's acceptance provided a sanctuary. Despite her own battles with societal expectations, she embraced the protagonist, birthmark and all, confiding that it wasn't something to be ashamed of. One poignant memory stands out: Hajikano tenderly kisses the protagonist's birthmark, an act so gentle yet so profound that the tremors are felt in the core of their heart. It's a moment of connection, of silent promises made. Back in the present, the narrative shifts to the protagonist's hospitalization following a school-related injury. This period in the hospital provides ample time for introspection. They reflect on their struggles, the folly of youthful fights, and the birthmark that has been both a bane and a peculiar blessing. An insightful conversation with Hashiba, a fellow patient, leads them to ponder the deeper meaning of external judgments and internal acceptance. As the protagonist recuperates, they embrace learning as a means to escape and grow. Books become companions, providing new worlds to explore beyond the confines of their hospital room. After being discharged, they spend a pensive evening by the beach, and on their way home, the allure of a ringing phone booth draws them in once more. It's a beacon of mystery and an echo of Hajikano's voice, leaving them to ponder the nature of unresolved love and the paths untaken. Through the reflection and anticipation of high school ahead, the protagonist stands on the brink of change, hopeful yet apprehensive about what lies beyond the horizon, much like the summer that changed everything. The story continues with a deep exploration of the protagonist, Mr. Fukamachi, and his encounter with a mysterious woman who dredges up memories of his past and a long-held affection for Yui Hajikano. The woman's familiarity with Fukamachi surprises him as she casually invokes his name and references a childhood event where he fell in love with Hajikano when they were 12. She speaks with an uncanny authority on the subject, touching on the biases that separated him from Hajikano and how his birthmark played a significant role in his feelings of inadequacy. The woman suggests an intriguing proposal, a bet hinging on the miraculous disappearance of Fukamachi's birthmark. If it vanishes by his upcoming birthday, he should reunite with Hajikano. Reflecting on his birthmark, Fukamachi grapples with the woman's words. He acknowledges the stubborn permanence of the birthmark despite various treatments and feels his hopes dashed by the reality of his situation. Yet, the woman leaves him with a provocative challenge, promising to see an extraordinary change by July 13th. Later, as Fukamachi checks himself in a mirror, reality crashes over him. Nothing has altered, and he shies away from indulging in what he assumes was a prank. Overwhelmed by emotions, he retreats to bed, his mind restless with self-reflection. Yet, his sleep is punctuated by dreams, hinting at transformation when unnoticed. The narrative shifts back in time as Fukamachi recounts a school art festival when he first became conscious of his birthmark as more than just a blemish. It was during the preparations for a play adaptation of The Phantom of the Opera that he faced ridicule over his appearance. The mocking comparisons to the Phantom implanted a seed of self-loathing. Fukamachi vividly recalls that even the adults reacted to his birthmark with pity, setting it apart from more common perceived defects. Despite consultations with dermatologists, the birthmark remains, and he endures summer vacations filled with discomfort and self-consciousness about his uniqueness. On his first day of high school, Fukamachi is burdened by memories and the emotional weight of the summer past. The season seems riddled with expectations and pressure to change. He boards a train, feeling every gaze settle on his birthmark, epitomizing his daily struggle with self-image. Unexpectedly, Fukamachi encounters an unsettling moment when he perceives a reflection untouched by his birthmark. The disbelief is palpable, yet he savors the illusion. For a fleeting moment, the vision suggests a dream materialized, causing confusion and introspection as he questions reality. This introspection follows him into the halls of his new school. Consumed by thoughts provoked by the strange incident and burdened by the ordinary pressures of a new environment, he sits alone. His teacher, Mr. Kasai, addresses him with concern, and after a brief departure, urges Fukamachi to have resilience and reiterates, "Don't overthink it. It'll work out." These moments encapsulate Fukamachi's internal struggle, a yearning for change and acceptance, juxtaposed against the constancy of his world. The seed of the woman's wager reverberates in his thoughts as he faces the unknown, seeking solace and perhaps a miracle to redefine his existence. Standing in front of the class, Yosuke Fukamachi feels detached as he tries to introduce himself, his attention snagged by his birthmark and the expression it draws from those around him. Among the sea of faces, Kasai's look of disgust stands out. Fukamachi's introduction finishes without leaving a genuine impression, his nerves cloud his words, and he finds himself sitting without much recollection of what he said. His initial encounter with the student seems inconsequential, marred by obligatory applause. Kasai's earlier reaction lingers, leaving Fukamachi uneasy. During the rest of homeroom, subtle glances and whispers ripple through the classroom, hinting at a curiosity not openly addressed. He feels under scrutiny but also curiously ignored. As the day proceeds, the English teacher arrives without any fanfare to start the class. Her entrance feels routine, failing to take note of the new student, allowing Fukamachi's anxiety to simmer quietly beneath the surface. He finds himself drifting in and out of focus, his mind trapped in a cycle of thoughts about his birthmark, which becomes his silent adversary. The English teacher's lecture barely registers for Fukamachi, his exhaustion from the previous night's restless sleep hangs over him, weighing his eyelids down. Just when he surrenders to a brief sleep, he jolts awake, thinking, sure enough, that was just a dream, attempting to convince himself that the morning's embarrassment had been nothing but a figment of his imagination. The school bell rings, signaling the end of class, and the students scatter, leaving Fukamachi grasping the strange distance between his reality and disconnect. Alone, he wanders around, attempting to find some grounding in the unfamiliar atmosphere. In the bathroom, he splashes water on his face, a futile attempt to refresh his vitality and quell the daze. Unexpectedly, a classmate speaks to him, a girl with a demeanor exuding both an air of curiosity and determination. Her introduction, Chigusa Oju, calls for an exchange of more than pleasantries. "Could you be talking to me?" Fukamachi asks, trying to comprehend her motives. Chigusa surprises Fukamachi by delving deeper, "Am I a bother?" Her straightforwardness strikes a chord in him. As their conversation evolves, Chigusa's dialogue veers into a peculiar topic about wishes. She hands Fukamachi a tanzaku, explaining the tradition of writing a wish during Tanabata, a whimsical relief for Fukamachi, offering him a chance to write down his own. Freedom, he writes with a sense of hope. As the day unfolds more routinely, the background buzz of student life at lunch swirls around. Fukamachi, still tangled in thoughts about Chigusa's interest and the symbolic tanzaku, remains wary yet intrigued by her. Her presence already feels different, perhaps even more sincere than he is accustomed to. Chigusa later offers Fukamachi a tour around the school post-classes, leading him to believe she might be fulfilling some school chore, yet her sincerity contradicts such assumptions. Her honesty beckons him to be more open, to find connection and perhaps even friendship in this new chapter of his life, despite his deep-seated worry stemmed from the opinions formed by his physical appearance. As they wander the campus, Chigusa shares her own experiences of being an outsider due to past health issues, a revelation that bridges the gap between them. Their shared vulnerabilities hint at trust and mutual understanding. Bearing silent witness to the fading daylight, their tour becomes not just about exploring the school but also discovering fragments of each other's world. After the tour concludes and the evening looms, Fukamachi finds solace in Chigusa's company, the weight of the day's anxiety lightened. Even though this interaction is unexpected, it becomes a small blessing. Her encouragement makes him believe in the possibility of these school days being different, perhaps even enjoyable. Reflecting on the way home, Fukamachi clings to the idea that maybe, just maybe, life could settle into a semblance of normalcy. Chigusa's unwavering words reverberate in his mind, "You will be fine, Fukamachi," promising a hope he had almost lost sight of. Maybe, this was the true start of something significant, a change, driven by the kind gesture of a classmate, forging a path towards belonging. As the story unfolds, Fukamachi is enveloped in a cloud of uncertainty about what lies ahead. He considers whether Chigusa would recognize him, or if he would even recognize himself after all the changes that have taken place. The thoughts spiral in his mind, circling the idea of an endless journey without definitive answers. Fukamachi finds himself awaiting an inevitable event but feels unease about stepping forward. Most importantly, he ponders over Hajikano's mysterious appearance. Would she confront him, or would circumstances force his hand to seek her out? Keenly aware of the weight of his own inaction, he senses a growing impatience. He takes a moment to recount his first experience of returning to his hometown, specifically the poignant memory of arriving at night. Gazing at his high school as it loomed, the now familiar sight of the shrine next to the building painted a vivid picture. The bright red torii gate and the sacred statues of Inari were landmarks that greeted him upon his return. Drawn to the shrine, he pursued it out of a compulsion he couldn't quite place. The walk up the stone steps reinforced an overwhelming sense of nostalgia. The comfortable familiarity of the place contrasted sharply with his current erratic thoughts. As he reached the small park near the shrine later, it felt deserted, almost like a sacred hiding place that held secrets he was yet to uncover. But as he settled in, the unexpected happened. Fukamachi noticed a girl sitting on a swing, a vision he couldn't shake. She didn't seem aware of his presence, lost in her own turmoil, perhaps. He couldn't resist moving closer, pulled by an unexplainable urge to understand what was unfolding. As he approached, the eerie realization dawned on him that she had a rope, tied into a haunting noose. His heart raced, and his mind screamed to act. Yet, as though held by invisible chains, he hesitated, driven only by the fear of disrupting the delicate balance between life and death that hung around the scene. Just then, the girl swayed backward. His instincts kicked in. Without thinking, he charged forward, pulling her back from the brink. In his arms, the girl's fragility struck him. He could feel the tremor in her body, the breath that she hadn't realized she'd been holding. Hajikano! Her name left his lips, carrying the weight of memories and past promises. She opened her eyes slowly, meeting his gaze with a look of bewilderment and disbelief. Their reunion, a moment expected yet deeply uncertain, was underscored with tension. Hajikano's revelation of her lack of a birthmark startled Fukamachi. It was as if a fundamental piece of the universe had realigned itself in her absence, leaving him grappling with implications he couldn't yet fathom. As they untangled from the moment, Fukamachi couldn't ignore the impending questions. His mind was flooded with the voice from the telephone, urging him to choose what mattered most to him. Torn between the haunting echo of past events and the reality he now held close, he couldn't help but reflect on everything that had led up to this moment. The literal and metaphorical darkness loomed as he navigated the park, his thoughts churning with every sound. Even the creaks of the swings were magnified, their persistence a reminder that not all ghosts can be laid to rest so easily. Later, the voice on the phone seemed to break into his thoughts again, as bewildering and strangely authoritative. The questions it posed were like puzzles, each demanding an immediate decision about what Fukamachi valued most. Each ring of the phone amplified the chaos in his mind. The mysterious voice asked for his top priority again and again, reinforcing the urgency of his choices and the depth of their consequences. The birthday wish too seemed to ripple through him. "Happy 16th birthday," the voice crooned before vanishing into the empty ether, leaving Fukamachi wrestling with the specters of time. Amid these swirling thoughts, a new chapter in Fukamachi's life beckons. The mundane scent of family life welcomes him home, mixed with the aroma of roasted peanuts and the familiar drone of daily routine. Fukamachi's mother, ever naturally inquisitive, instantly senses the change in him, particularly remarked upon by the absence of the previously concerning birthmark that had once troubled him. "Don't be stupid to think that it's normal," she warns, amid her palpable relief. But the cryptic nature of these developments weighs heavily on Fukamachi. The mystery of how or why the birthmark disappeared adds complexity to his already intricate life. Navigating these recent changes, Fukamachi turns introspective. He ponders the implications of Hajikano's actions and the motives that drove her to the state he found her in. Her exceptional beauty had long been the envy of many, and the abrupt transformation left questions about her sense of self-worth and identity. Hajikano's struggles and the reasons behind her drastic measure linger as a profound concern for Fukamachi. He recognizes that discovering the heart of her distress might take conversations that both dread and beckon quietly to him. Despite the past turmoil, there's a thread of excitement, the possibility of ingraining himself in her life once more. The attempt to reintegrate his presence with hers is daunting yet undeniably attractive. However, the new school day looms, the chaos of yesterday shadowing him. Its unpredictable nature promises that past alliances, once assumed stable, might no longer hold steadfastly as expected. In the euphoric yet still uncertain walk to school, Fukamachi contemplates what will ultimately define his future, himself. Each step captures this delicate balance of hope and anxiety, leading him into a world where yesterday's definitions may not apply. It's a landscape adorned not only with unresolved memories but also blooming with opportunities for redemption and renewal. In the dimly lit corner of the schoolyard, a group of students engage in a conversation that reflects the shrouded tensions in their lives. The conversation drifts to an old, ostensibly harmless room, yet Nagahora finds a strange, unsettling aura about it that captures the curiosity of the tall boy among them. Reminiscent of a Red Room warning, the place feels eerily off. The tall boy's curiosity gets the better of him. "You've gone in there," he inquires of his peers, hinting at something more sinister lurking in the ordinary. There is an unspoken understanding, a silent acknowledgement that things often aren't as they seem in their world. This entree into the unsettling sparks the group's interest, and they decide to reconvene later to explore further. As the school day proceeds, tension mounts. Nagahora's nervousness seems palpable as he proclaims, "I can't wait any longer than that. We'll go see it tonight." His declaration throws the group into an anticipatory silence, a weight of unknown fear looming over them. "Hey, did Fukamachi escape?" someone asks, igniting a flicker of urgency among them. This sense of haste only deepens the underlying fear that something tethered to that place needs resolving. Back in the classroom, Kasai, the ever-watchful teacher, confronts Fukamachi with an indifferent demeanor, asking, "Do you know why I called you in?" The atmosphere is thick with tension, as the usual disciplinary banter transforms into something unexpectedly serious. Kasai's questions pluck at the strings of Fukamachi's conscience, his perceived misconduct among the students now under scrutiny. Kasai's line of questioning pivots to Yui Hajikano, a notable mention in the school for her unexpected absence. The revelation that Hajikano refuses to be in the same classroom as Fukamachi sends a chill through him. Her absence, steeped in unexplained mystery, suggests deeper currents running underneath the school's surface. Kasai offers no solace in explanations or solutions, instead imposing a hauntingly bureaucratic tone. "We can't listen to selfish requests forever," he states, implying a systemic inability to accommodate personal grievances. The conversation spirals into an unresolved haze, casting shadows on Fukamachi's day-to-day life. As news of Hajikano's absence and determination to avoid Fukamachi spreads, Kasai implies an incident in their shared past is at play, yet remains veiled in ambiguity. This revelation challenges Fukamachi to piece together the intricate threads of his relationships and past interactions with Hajikano. His ruminations oscillate between bewilderment and a burgeoning need to set things right. In a tense exchange with Nagahara, Fukamachi attempts to unravel the mystery of Hajikano's absence. The weight of rumors and unfounded accusations hangs heavily on his shoulders, complicating the simple act of understanding. As they dissect this web of confusion, the two friends resolve to keep looking for an answer. In the classroom, Fukamachi finds himself inadvertently caught in a social minefield. Chigusa, a silent observer and seemingly distant yet perceptive classmate, offers him unexpected companionship. Their interaction is laced with discomfort and tentative curiosity, each testing the boundaries of new understanding. Outside of class, conversations about the strange origins of the bruise on Hajikano's face, and her reluctance to engage with Fukamachi, hint at deeper, unspoken stories. The possibility of a bet being the cause of Hajikano's marked bruise within Fukamachi's mind, a conjecture laced with elements of fantasy and despair. Amidst this chaos, the ordinary rhythms of school life persist. The students prepare for the Miss Minigizer competition, a traditional contest that comes with its own set of societal expectations and prejudices. Chigusa, unexpectedly crowned the winner despite personal misgivings, faces the challenge with quiet defiance. As the day unfolds, moments of light-heartedness and nostalgia intersperse the growing confusion, hinting at life's paradoxical mix of simplicity and complexity. The intertwining relationships, buried secrets, and shared tales etch a narrative of adolescence marked by vulnerability and resilience. As the story continues to unravel, the characters are poised on the brink of discovery, pulled by unseen forces toward revelations and turning points that may forever alter the course of their interconnected lives. The day ends with a sense of incompleteness, leaving a lingering tension that promises both revelation and resolution in the days to come. The air is tense as Yosuke Fukamachi reflects on a surreal afternoon filled with rain and complicated emotions. He recalls standing outside, puffing on a cigarette as the smell of the rain-soaked earth blends with smoke, an oddly comforting mix that fills his lungs. It's one of those summer days where time seems to stretch endlessly, torn between moments of contemplation and unexpected encounters. Earlier that day, a massive storm swept through suddenly, catching everyone off guard. Yosuke describes a scene of chaos as people rush to shield themselves with umbrellas and raincoats. In the midst of this chaos, he spotted Yui Hajikano, an intriguing presence he hadn't interacted with for some time. Despite the familiarity of their past, a certain distance had grown between them. Braving the rain, Yosuke decides to take a chance and approaches Hajikano. The rain seems to serve as both a barrier and a backdrop, a metaphor for their strained relationship. He approaches with a nervous yet resolute heart, eager to reconnect yet unsure if the moment is right. When they finally come face to face under the shelter of the park entrance, it becomes clear that Hajikano is not the same person Yosuke once knew. Her aura is both familiar and strange. The conversation that follows is filled with the weight of unspoken words. Yosuke's internal monologue reveals a longing to reconcile with the past, yet an understanding that some things are irreparably changed. The forecast was wrong, Hajikano notes with a distant smile, her voice barely rising above the rain's patter. As they stand there, silence fills the spaces between their tentative exchanges. Yosuke is hyper-aware of the way Hajikano's presence makes him feel, a mix of nostalgia and regret. When she finally leaves, he's left with an unsettling sense of incompletion, the echoes of their brief interaction reverberating in his mind. The story moves forward to their trip to Hajikano's house, a trip Yosuke had been contemplating. Despite their history, visiting her felt like stepping into the domain of a stranger. The sight of her house, with its old wooden architecture and blemished paint, evokes a strange mix of familiarity and unease. A sudden interruption arrives in the form of Aya, Hajikano's older sister. Aya's demeanor is both confrontational and curious as she questions Yosuke's intentions. Her sharp gaze and probing questions unsettle him, but Yosuke responds honestly, explaining he needs to speak with Yui about something important. Aya, skeptical but seemingly understanding, eventually leaves him to face Hajikano. Inside, Yosuke finds Hajikano's room eerily silent, its curtains drawn, painting the space in muted shadows. The room feels like a time capsule, filled with objects that speak of past moments and memories. Hajikano appears, her presence fragile yet defiant. The tension is palpable as they confront each other, emotions high. They engage in a raw and vulnerable dialogue, Yosuke struggling to understand why Hajikano has distanced herself so drastically. She admits to not attending school, confessing to Yosuke with tears in her eyes that there's no significant reason other than a personal choice. "I've just decided to hate you," she declares with a mix of bitterness and sadness. Crushed, Yosuke leaves the room, trying to process the brutal honesty of Hajikano's words. As he reflects by smoking with Aya outside, the complex dynamic of their relationship is laid bare. Aya, with a mix of irony and seriousness, advises Yosuke to be cautious with Hajikano because she has changed significantly, suggesting that the person he remembers is only a shell of who she once was. As Yosuke leaves, the town's familiarity offers little comfort. A heavy sense of melancholy lingers, a result of unfulfilled desires and misunderstood connections. The weight of his past with Hajikano, compounded with the present reality, feels like a storm that won't pass. With thoughts swirling, Yosuke contemplates the nature of fairy tales, drawing a parallel to his situation. He likens himself to the Little Mermaid, someone who sacrificed much for love, only to face uncertain and painful consequences. The realization that life often imitates dark fairy tales settles in, offering a somber perspective on the unpredictability of fate and emotion. In the days leading up to the summer break, Yosuke resolves to leave behind the torment of his past school experiences. He envisions a new chapter, one where he might reclaim a sense of normalcy and joy. With an aim to immerse himself into the lively world around him, he joins a baseball game with his classmates Chigusa and Nagahara, desperately hoping to fit in. As the game begins, Yosuke finds himself exhilarated, especially as he manages to hit a high-flying third pitch that soars into the sky. The cheers from his classmates are a balm for his weary spirit. The momentum of the game continues, and Yosuke delights in the praise from his peers. His conversation with Nagahara during the game is light, but the unspoken camaraderie between them feels like a new beginning. Yosuke participates in the traditional post-game meeting, filled with the jubilation of shared triumph. Even as the day winds down, Yosuke basks in this newfound acceptance. After the game, Yosuke reflects on the progress he's made since confronting his fears. He thinks back to the promise he made to Chigusa about attending the Minajiza Summer Festival, an event that symbolizes hope and renewal. The excursion to the baseball game serves as a testament to his determination. As summer begins, Yosuke consciously decides to spend time alone. In the solitude, he hopes to introspect and rebuild. The tranquility has its own charm as he rides the train, absorbing the passing scenery, while savoring each moment of solitary transit. It's a healing process, one where each moment is savored like a sip of a cherished memory. One evening, Yosuke receives an unexpected call from Chigusa. Her voice lingers over the phone as she gives him her home number, hinting at future possibilities. You never know when plans will suddenly come up. The potential of what might unfold fills Yosuke with a mixture of anticipation and apprehension. Reflecting on the wager he has with the mysterious woman involved with Hajikano, Yosuke feels a familiar discomfort creeping in. This woman reminds him about the fee he's paid, a concept that intertwines fate and personal growth, and she reveals what she's taken from him, the peace of his soul. She likens it to the Little Mermaid, drawing parallels to a tale of sacrifice for the sake of profound desires. This strange encounter lingers in Yosuke's mind as he grapples with his feelings for Hajikano. There's a palpable confusion over his intentions toward her, whether it's genuine care or a mere obsession to rectify the past. Each thought traces back to the evening on the train with her, the unique connection they share solidified by their conversation and her genuine interest in him. Deep within, he wishes to see Hajikano happy, free from her own burdens and insecurities. As the day stretches into evening, Yosuke arrives at the front of Hajikano's house, where her sister, Aya, confronts him about Yui's prior suicide attempt. The information shocks Yosuke, drawing him closer to the weight of the situation. Aya's stoic demeanor belies her protective nature, cautiously watching over her sister. Standing on the porch, Aya questions Yosuke's motives. She coldly elucidates her struggle, juxtaposing the ordinary desires of normalcy with the extraordinary pressures of being compared to Yui. With a shared understanding, Yosuke acknowledges the complexities entwining their lives, choosing to respect Aya's unspoken plea to tread carefully. That night, alone in his room, Yosuke allows himself to drift into the past memories with Hajikano. He recalls the bond they formed over their scars, both physical and emotional. With a touch as gentle as a whisper, she once pressed her hands against his cheeks. In a moment of tenderness, she offered him a way to silently ask for help whenever he needed it, a simple signal drawn with a marker. The next morning, Yosuke awakens with a sense of purpose. Aya's words echo in his mind, propelling him to action. Determined to support Yui, he readies himself to face the uncertainty of the day. As he steps outside, the rhythm of life around him continues, a comforting reminder that each moment is an opportunity for change. With the promise of a summer filled with growth and understanding, Yosuke steps forward, guided by a blend of hope and nostalgia. Whether with friends or in solitude, he acknowledges the importance of moving forward, embracing whatever the future holds. Amidst the stillness of morning, a broadcast plays faintly in the background as Aya prepares breakfast with her mother. This moment of everyday routine carries a sense of tradition, as Aya remarks, "Today, we're all looking forward to the future, right?" Her mother nods, the undertone of their conversation melding with the smell of morning tea. Aya finds herself talking to Nagahora, who amicably jokes about planning to show off. Laughter lifts their spirits slightly, leaving room for Aya to muse philosophically, "It's fine if you look forward to the last day, even if you think you can move on." Her mother's curiosity piqued, she ponders over the phenomenon of loyalty to sports teams, hypothesizing, is it because they're good, or do people love them just because they're local? Their conversation drifts toward a lighter note about love at first sight, to which Aya nods, humorously admitting, "I thought I felt it once." This introspection leads her to readiness, as if romance parallels her investigative journey. Time quietly progresses. As night descends, Aya dons a plain outfit and dust-covered eyeglasses, a deliberate disguise, reflecting her determination to uncover the mysteries cloaked in routine. Quietly she pursues Hajikano, her path illuminated dimly by streetlights, shadowing her until the bridge looms before them, a silent sentinel. Hajikano drifts into memories as much as she crosses into the old grounds of the Masukawa Hotel, a place shrouded in legend and left to decay. Rusted chains and broken furnishings paint a desolate picture, contrasting the enchanting lull of past gatherings. Aya observes with a sense of wonder, pulled into the nostalgic aura of the girl dressed in white clothes, sitting in a lone chair on the rooftop under stars. The juxtaposition is not lost on Aya. Nor is the sudden melody, quiet and forlorn, growing louder to reveal the mermaid song, a serenade long believed unique to the area they inhabit. Reflective, Aya vows silently, "I'll keep this night a secret." Hajikano departs, leaving Aya alone on the rooftop, embraced by the weight of stars above. Despite the mundane implications of Jupiter's comet crashing into view, a moment celebrated by the world, yet missed by them, Aya clings to this newly discovered secret and the echoes of Hajikano's song. The summer quietly unfurls, days slipping into one another. We learn that Aya is pondering the differences and similarities in the Hajikano she has known and the one she shadows. Despite avoiding confrontation, Aya recalls a period when Hajikano's behavior drastically shifted, vaguely coinciding with a mark appearing on her body, a mark whispered about in classrooms and never addressed directly, stemming more importance in silent contempt than spoken inquiry. Eager to unearth more, Aya walks through hallways, lingering to capture faint gazes and whispered rumors. Meeting Mosafumi, a vaguely familiar face, he shares in this silent effort, commenting on culprits and secrets, though more for adventure than result. Together they traverse familiar paths, cycling through varying strategies to uncover the route of Hajikano's mental voyage. Navigating introspection and external observation, Aya and Mosafumi stumble into ordinary haunts, seeking hints deeply buried beneath ordinary facades. Conversations feel aimless until they connect with fragments of past Mitsuba students, their stories reflecting different sides of the same puzzle. Their expedition, though filled with odd turns, beckons the promise of a conclusion, quietly echoing with every step they retrace. Aya's quest continues with fervent determination, each piece gathered weaving a complex tapestry of truth and nostalgia. As roads converge and diverge, the distance between memory and reality narrows, carrying Aya closer to understanding not only Hajikano's journey but the undercurrents binding them together. Yadamura's lips curve into a grin as he suggests they must rest here. Exhausted from their dangerous yet haphazard search for his sister, they had walked for about 20 minutes. With Yadamura's aimless directions leading them, they end up at his house. He expresses uncertainty whether his sister has come home yet. They finally find themselves at a crossroads, an eerie location young Yadamura referred to as the woods. His cryptic mention of ghosts lingers like a chilling echo, that's what the doctor said. As dusk settles, Yadamura points to a small girl sitting serenely on a stump. She's still, so still that she could have been part of the forest itself. Upon approaching, it becomes clear, this girl is Yui Hajikano. Her candid and unmistakable gaze reveals no hint of fear but curiosity. They exchange awkward greetings, her large birthmark stark against the moonlit backdrop. Yadamura nudges Hajikano for information. Her brother's ghost story has brought an unexpected guest seeking specters. She admits her skepticism about the supernatural. I'm waiting to find a fissure in the world, Hajikano muses, her eyes betraying a deeper, undefined longing. Her rationality clings to science, yet in this moment, she seems open to the inexplicable. Their conversation twists into thoughts of personal meaning, that inexplicable drive to seek out mysteries that aren't meant to be solved. Hajikano's words linger in the air, it's the kind of revolution I'm awaiting. Yadamura's sister diffuses tension through their shared purpose, discussing how small ghost stories fascinate her for reasons she can't express. Their night concludes with a quiet understanding, both realizing they've wandered into more than just woods, they've stumbled upon the complexities of their young lives. Yadamura promises to continue his search for ghosts, while Hajikano, in her quiet voice, warns him, take it slowly. As the night closes, he surveys the vibrant green of the irrigation channel. It enchants him in its dreamlike simplicity. The scene shifts to another memory, one laced with an ominous, ill-fated trip to the sea. Yadamura is vividly recalling a younger version of himself standing at the water's edge, the tide slowly and cruelly shifting underfoot. It is a moment stained with fear and loss, the seafloor's abrupt drop a lesson in unrecallable mistakes. He remembers the feeling of being pulled away, the sea's power overwhelming him, until a mysterious, grasping hand brings him back to shore. This experience becomes a haunting imprint, the reminder of what it means to return from the brink, yet not without price. The tale of his drowning entwines with his present as he realizes, I had been saved by a ghost. The following day, Yadamura meets Chigusa at the station, preparing for a day at Minagisa's summer festival. Chigusa is a beacon in his life, diligent in her school uniform even during the break, reflecting her respect for the school's rules. Their journey is tinged with Chigusa's musings on visiting Mitsuba High School, her curiosity deeply piqued by Hajikano who draws her in with stories and the enigma of her past. Meanwhile, Yadamura contemplates the strict boundaries Mitsuba presents to outsiders like him. Enacting a clever ruse, he dives deeper into a narrative spun around Chigusa's peaceful, yet precise world. They're bonded by light-hearted banter and respect. She wonders about the connection they both feel to this mysterious girl, Hajikano, questioning the sadness weighing her down. As they sit near a path laced with sunflowers, Chigusa reveals a deeper understanding of Hajikano's plight. The schoolgirl's birthmark, first noticed in middle school, became a silent tormentor, whispering secrets one can't unhear. Chigusa speculates on the pain it sows, a reason to hide, a reason to seek comfort despite its boundless discomfort. Yadamura absorbs Chigusa's insights, pondering on the subtle thread of friendship unraveling around them. The past floods back as Chigusa unveils a specific memory, Hajikano vanishing from school, unexplained, but known. Rumors circulated hazarding guesses, fueled by whispers. It becomes Yadamura's mission to help dissipate this miasma of speculation. Both leave the park, shadows growing with the tide. Their departure is gentle, marked by gratitude and unspoken promise for another meeting. As Yadomura parts ways with Chigusa, her solemnity leaves him to dwell on the human heart's intricate paths. Yadomura returns to Masukawa Hotel with Hajikano still absent from his sight. Her probable footsteps in ruins resonate with him, tethered to the heavy air of unholy tales and unsolved mysteries. In these moments, he understands, a quiet spectre connects them all, haunting yet inseparable from their intertwined lives. Knowing the truth behind the ruins, the urgency to keep tailing Yui Hajikano seems unnecessary to Yosuke Fukamachi. He vividly recalls the chilling experience of being watched through the holes in the hotel wall and the unsettling notion that something could have been right next to him. Nonetheless, he steels himself once more, driven to understand what happened after Hajikano's birthmark disappeared. The following day, Kasai, his teacher, makes an unexpected request, calling Fukamachi to school urgently. Kasai's tone is unlike his typical attitude, carrying a seriousness that Fukamachi hadn't encountered before. Although apprehensive, Fukamachi obliges, keen to grasp what compelled this sudden summons. Once at school, he navigates through the campus, where the whispers and tales of teachers, like Indu, mark their presence. Indu is the very teacher whose reputation Fukamachi knew well, a disciplinarian with a distinct method of enforcing rules. Arriving in the faculty room, Fukamachi is met with a stern question from Indu, inquiring about his whereabouts the previous night. Indu's intensity suggests suspicion, perhaps even an accusation, as he drills into the events. "What were you doing out late last night?" Fukamachi braces under Indu's imposing scrutiny, explaining that he went out to see the stars. This claim, though true, feels thin against the backdrop of Indu's sharp questioning. Indu directs attention towards reports of someone matching Fukamachi's description seen near the hotel. He probes deeper, suspecting Fukamachi of possibly being a culprit. During this exchange, Kasai interjects, offering some measure of relief as Indu reluctantly accepts the alibi after being interrupted, admitting that he spotted Hajikano alongside Fukamachi at the scene. For the first time, Hajikano herself steps forward to speak, her voice calm as she elucidates on the meteor shower they went to witness. She mentions astronomical details with ease, reinforcing the plausibility of their nocturnal outing. This new information is enough for Indu to shift his focus. After clearing this hurdle, Fukamachi finds himself alone with Hajikano. A charged silence fills the air between them. Finally, Fukamachi speaks. He thanks her for intervening, torn between gratitude and a burning need to understand why she didn't push him away. Though appreciative, Hajikano seems distant, wrapped up in her own resolve. Fukamachi's words, however, soon unravel a deeper discussion. He confronts the ever-present mystery of Hajikano's sudden disappearance last summer, intertwined with the secret of her birthmark. This conversation is fraught with tension. Hajikano's demeanor grows defensive as she evades the crux of his inquiries. Fukamachi is tempted to ask directly why her birthmark vanished, a question that hovers unspoken but pressing. Yet, a fragile truce exists between them, a mutual respect peppered with unasked questions and truths left unsaid. Hajikano's resolve is clear, she no longer wishes to discuss her birthmark or the burdens it has imposed. When Fukamachi recalls tender memories of their shared past, his voice softens. Hajikano stands firm against nostalgia's pull, insistent on the futility of reopening past wounds. Ultimately, her eyes reflect a determination to move forward unencumbered, a stark contrast to Fukamachi's lingering attachment to memories that shaped their connection. Fukamachi faces his own regrets with honesty, a longing to mend what's broken, yet aware that he lacks the requisite words or actions. As he grapples with Hajikano's silent plea to leave the past behind, a critical moment looms, a teardrop vanishes the false birthmark she wears, a testament to the secret Fukamachi yearns to share. In the aftermath of this emotional encounter, Kasai approaches Fukamachi again, probing into his shifting relationship with Hajikano. Their exchange sheds light on hidden dynamics, challenging Fukamachi to reflect on everything he knows, and doesn't know, about Hajikano. Despite all he's uncovered, a resounding question persists: why does Hajikano continue to reject her past? Haunted by unanswered questions and a sense of looming futility, Fukamachi leaves. The absence of resolution clings like a shadow as he walks away from the school, conscious of a deeper, unmet task. Hajikano's connection with Indu lingers as an unspoken mystery, something that, once resolved, could redefine everything Fukamachi understands. As Fukamachi meanders through familiar streets, his thoughts wander back to Yuya Hinohara, a childhood friend whose journey he feels mirrors his own in some aspects. Hinohara's eccentricity and unconventional perspective on life provide a contrast to Fukamachi's introspective nature. At their meeting, Hinohara, with his characteristic candor, remarks on the seemingly inexplicable change in Fukamachi's attitude and personality. Yet, nothing compares to Fukamachi's internal battle, the struggle between honoring Hajikano's desire for a clean slate and reckoning with his own unresolved feelings. This internal tension merely grows, pulling him toward an inevitable confrontation with reality and the mysteries he longs to solve. As Fukamachi sits with Hinohara, pondering these burdens, the path forward remains uncertain, but undeniably compelling. Hinohara finds himself caught in an unexpected confrontation. Hinohara and his group target him, seeking revenge for past grievances. Nogiyama and the others have an insistence that intrigues him. Hinohara had hoped their animosity would have subsided since graduation, but he underestimated their answer. As they converge with derision, Hinohara stands his ground despite being outnumbered, suggesting, maybe the six of us can go drinking to let bygones be bygones. His attempt at diplomacy only invites laughter, but Hinohara maintains his front. Wanting to defuse the situation, Hinohara looks for an opportunity to change course. When Nogiyama attempts a follow-up from a henchman, Hinohara acts swiftly, striking back stronger than expected. It's a moment where wit meets instinct. Chigusa, positioned at a distance, watches with anticipation. Remembering their prior arrangement for the Minajiza Summer Festival, Hinohara's mind races through different possibilities. As the tension from this encounter wanes, the potential ticking between him and Chigusa resonates more clearly. Nogiyama, after a brief scuffle, seems caught off guard by Hinohara's unexpected resilience. Their dynamic shifts as they come to a wordless conclusion, the altercation quietly unraveling. "Would you let me call it here for today?" Nogiyama asks. Hinohara nods, and the confrontation dissipates. Chigusa, who witnessed everything, stands beside Hinohara with a knowing look. It hits him, the lingering danger had made him realize something about his feelings towards her. They share a wordless understanding as he wonders about her perception. With the summer evening behind them, they walk away from the chaos. Hinohara is acutely aware of the complexity with Chigusa. She seems curious about his interaction with Nogiyama's group, her inquiries leading to a candid conversation about his past and current aspirations. Minajiza South Middle School, Chigusa comments on his shared school experience. There's a surprising ease between them, a platform laid by shared history and latent chemistry. As Hinohara reflects how things have quietly evolved to this moment where Chigusa and he converse without guardedness, the narrative subtly underscores his inner turmoil about societal expectations and self-perception. Accusations of being a good-for-nothing linger in his mind, yet Chigusa doesn't seem fazed. The scene pivots as Chigusa requests something unexpected: "Please, make me a bad person." It's a plea with profound implications, capturing Hinohara off guard. This request, on the night of July 31st, sets the stage for an exploration of identity and liberation. The swirl of events draws them closer. August 1st brings a designated attendance day at Minajiza First High, filled with mundane academic routines. The atmosphere is fleetingly disrupted by Nagahora, a classmate commenting on a fellow student, Ogura. Hinohara muses over the possibilities, thankful for the normalcy amidst recent upheavals. In an attempt to evade expectations and chase simplicity, Hinohara exits early, inadvertently tangling paths with Chigusa once more. There's something captivating in her presence, as if all roads naturally lead to reconnecting. Their discussion drifts into speculation about shared time away from prying eyes. Sitting at a disused bus stop, a symbol of abandoned travel and forgotten dreams, Hinohara and Chigusa exchange stories. Chigusa, emboldened by their earlier encounter, reveals more about her educational journey and introspective struggles. The conversation is sincere, insightful, a melding of personal apprehensions voiced out loud in hopes of finding clarity. Hinohara learns Chigusa's yearning to diverge from a predetermined life plan. Her aspirations for rebellious self-discovery create ripples in his own mindset. There's no simple resolution, instead, a choice to explore potential futures they hadn't considered before. Chigusa urges, "I'd like to experience the unlikely with you. To tell the truth, I didn't want this day to end." Such a declaration galvanizes something long dormant within Hinohara. By taking small steps towards change, he begins to embrace growth beyond societal conventions. Emboldened by their newfound accord, they plan to gather friends in a spontaneous celebration, a divergence from their routine. As Hinohara decides on the day's course, the story stands at the precipice of remarkable transformations, with each of their choices carving new paths for exploration and understanding. Together, as dusk gives way to starlight, they embark towards Chigusa's house. It's an unspoken promise to confront the unknown together, a testament to their budding rapport, a narrative that sways rhythmically between subdued desires and the exhilaration of crafting one's identity anew. In the quiet stillness of the room, Chigusa prepares tea for Fukamachi, who is feeling out of his element in the environment of a teenage girl's room. She tries to lighten the mood with a bit of humor, hinting that such situations might be more common than he imagines. The atmosphere is slightly tense, a mixture of nervousness and the thrill of the unconventional visit. They settle on the couch, sipping their drinks as they awkwardly navigate the intricacies of their conversation. Chigusa candidly remarks, "It's very thrilling," as if acknowledging the undercurrent of excitement they both feel. Their conversation drifts, and soon, Chigusa reveals cigarettes stored in a small, ornate bottle. Wakaba, she reads from the packaging, a moment of trivial sharing that adds a layer of intimacy. They share a cigarette, falling into a companionable silence broken only by the soft crackle of burning tobacco. "I think I finally understand," Chigusa mutters, as she mimics Fukamachi's mannerisms, creating a bond through shared habits. As the evening progresses, Chigusa observes Fukamachi's increasing lethargy. "Are you sleepy?" she inquires, teasingly. But it's clear, even laughter cannot mask the pull of their fatigue. The two grow more candid, discussing personal nuances with the ease of longtime friends. As the night deepens, Chigusa unexpectedly collapses against Fukamachi, her vulnerability laid bare. She admits, almost embarrassed, to being a sleepy drunk, revealing a facet of herself with surprising openness. Morning crests in gently, finding Fukamachi waking to the warm realization of Chigusa's proximity, the fleeting memory of resting on her lap still fresh in his mind. Their mutual embarrassment gives way to laughter and apologies, setting a light-hearted tone for the day ahead. With the casual grace of friendship, they finish their morning routine, stepping into the vibrant chaos of the shopping district. The aroma of street food fills the air as they wander through throngs of people. Chigusa is thoughtful, her gaze shifting between stalls with curiosity and longing. They meander through the festival grounds, commenting on the crowds and the seemingly endless rows of enticing stands. But there's an underlying tension, an unspoken thrill, as they dodge the vigilant eyes of strangers, embracing their tiny rebellion. In a small, seemingly innocuous moment, they encounter a goldfish scooping game. Watching the vendor skillfully maneuver the tools of his trade, Fukamachi feels a pang of nostalgia and a wistful desire for simpler joys. Chigusa's reaction is gentle, guiding them away from this sentimental interlude with a soft smile and a whisper, "Let's move on." Yet, as they press forward, Fukamachi is struck by a fleeting premonition, a shadow of unease that quickens his pulse. He seizes Chigusa's hand, retreating from the crowd with urgency. His instincts prove correct as they narrowly avoid a potentially dangerous encounter with some local troublemakers. Quick on their feet, they flee, driven by the thrill of the chase and the adrenaline coursing through their veins. They eventually pause, breathless and exhilarated, settling on the edge of a low wall. Chigusa's eyes glimmer with laughter, her cheeks flushed with exertion. Fukamachi, catching his breath, marvels at the spirited adventure they've stumbled into. Wanting to extend the moment's joy, he offers to buy drinks, a small token of their shared triumph. The cooling night air wraps around them as they prepare for a nighttime escapade, a whimsical suggestion to slip into the school's pool area. The idea, initially rooted in adolescent dreams, blossoms into a plan filled with whispered anticipation. Even though the notion borders on the absurd, there's an undeniable allure in the idea of dipping into the pool under the cloak of darkness. Arriving at the school grounds, they find their way through the fence easily, the thrill of their small rebellion almost intoxicating. Once at the pool, the sight of the water under the moonlight is almost magical. Chigusa, always unexpected, boldly sheds her outer layers and jumps in, inviting Fukamachi to join her in the cool embrace of the water. The night air is full of promises as they swim together, their laughter echoing softly across the stillness. Amid the playfulness, Chigusa lets slip a vulnerability, a whispered plea for Fukamachi to call her name again, seeking reassurance in their moment of shared intimacy. In that tender exchange, they find a connection, undefined yet undeniably powerful. It's in this serendipitous blend of youthful mischief and raw honesty that Fukamachi and Chigusa carve out a memory, one colored by stolen glances and whispered secrets, bathed in the silver glow of a summer moon. As the night stretches on, they lose themselves in the simple joy of each other's company, leaving behind the world and its complexities, if only for a while. The evening air is charged with excitement. Yuji, Chigusa, and their group of friends gather in a secluded corner of the park to play with toy fireworks. The dirt on their clothes and damp hair tells the story of an adventurous day filled with swimming and laughter. Despite the dimming light, with their playful spirits high, they manage to light some sparklers, painting the night with trails of light. As the final firework, an intricate sky ball that Chigusa brought, spirals into the sky and drops gracefully into the pool, a serene silence settles among the friends. Exhaustion from the day's rigorous activities seeps in, and they find comfort in the stillness, gazing up at the changes in the sky. In this shared moment, Yuji expresses, "Indeed, my bad premonitions are often correct," reminiscing about the day's uncertainties. Chigusa, curious yet light-hearted, probes Yuji about his thoughts on Hajikano not joining them. It's a casual inquiry, mingled with familiarity and a touch of concern, to which Yuji admits he had wondered the same. This mutual understanding brings a warm end to a fulfilling day. Their parting is gentle and kind, with Chigusa expressing gratitude, "I enjoyed it too. It was a good day." Yuji, feeling akin to a scarecrow left behind as the vibrant energy disperses with her departure, reflects deeply on the day's interactions. Chigusa's words, though initially surprising, resonate with Yuji. She touches upon a daring notion of holding a firework to his face. It's a pivotal moment colored by a strange mixture of danger and revelation, forging an unexpected corridor to possibilities Yuji hadn't yet embraced. Her sincere, "I'll wait patiently," echoes in his mind, and he stands on the precipice of uncomfortable truths long buried. As Yuji traverses towards the shrine park, he grapples with the courage to unveil deeper fears and the longing for connection. Memories of his time with Hajikano resurface, a girl once familiar, now distant yet connected through an invisible thread of past scars and shared silences. The scene shifts indoors to the buzzing hum of cicadas. A symbol of summer's relentless cadence, it matches the patience with which Yuji finally acknowledges a task, an iron waiting ominously on the desk. He brings it to life, not merely as an appliance but as a vessel holding the potential to alter his and Hajikano's course forever. This iron, associated with what happened in that closed-off room, signifies more than just its intended use. It represents a momentary madness and a future path. Yuji's resolve to test destiny, to bear another scar for love, unfurls groundbreaking change. Though the task holds an edge of madness, it paves a route he cannot shy from. "If I'd had a little more bold judgment, I could probably see how foolish it was from an objective standpoint." Yet, it's precisely this folly that sharpens destiny's momentum. Holding the heated iron, Yuji's thoughts converge in a loop of daring decision and introspective honesty. His actions from that day reverberate not only as an attempt to get Hajikano's attention but equally as a probe of the current that has pulled them into this moment again. When the phone interrupts his contemplative solitude, the monotony breaks into action. "Hello," is greeted back by a society of silence, then the soft yet present voice of Hajikano. The once one-sided exchanges morph into a symphony of reciprocal acknowledgement, shrouded by the mystery of intentions. It's an exchange marked by vulnerability and raw truths. Yuji finds himself relaying beneath surface-level discussions, diving deeper into past decisions marked by an invisible bond, the birthmark that united and separated them. Because I wanted you to like me, Hajikano, Yuji admits. As words flow, a sense of profound understanding bridges the gap formed over time. Aghast by the admission but buoyed by compassion, the conversation navigates the rocky shores of personal complexities. Hajikano's jealousy and insecurities tumble into dialogue, unraveling like a tapestry woven with truth and misgivings. I felt like they'd scorn me. The poignant need to belong and the need to connect is a mutual strand threading through Hajikano and Yuji's dialogue. What emerges is the irrefutable fact that their identities and past scars, once barriers, are now stepping stones to healing. Against this backdrop of intimate revelation, the poignant, "Still, there was one thing she said," burns through Yuji's thoughts as he hangs up, his heart quiet yet full of silent resolve and an untouched peace, a precursor to continuation. Even as the call concludes, Yuji remains submerged in the profound undercurrents of connection unwound and rewound through distance and time. It is a moment marked by completeness, saturated with feeling, yet fertile for what lies ahead, a place they both called from and may eventually arrive at together.